Hi, this is Lindsay Wilson, and we are here with Michelle Vandepas, and I am so excited and honored to present what we're going to give you tonight. She does the most amazing, and I have to say miraculous marketing work with people that I've ever seen. It's the most profound stuff, probably in my own business that I've experienced in the last year, and I don't say that lightly. So I'm going to give you Michelle's bio. And hi, Michelle, how are you?
Hi. Oh, this is so much fun.
I'm glad. Good. So, Michelle Vandepas is one of the leading marketing experts. She's co created three multi-million dollar businesses and she's coached more than 1,000 clients and has led a sales force to the multi millions. Using her system of marketing archetypes, she pinpoints your marketing genius. She's taken 25 authors to bestseller status. So how freaking cool. And isn't it more like 2,000 clients? I think after 25
It-
years of
yeah,
marketing, a
it's moving up
thousand.
there. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's moving. Some of my clients are businesses. So
right.
I may be talking to 10 people in
Yeah,
their marketing team, but
right.
so thousands and thousands of people
Yeah.
individually.
Yeah, I
Sure.
love it. I love it. I love it. And the title sounds almost too good to be true, marketing in 15 minutes a day, but it's not, right? It's possible.
It is possible. And the secret is learning how to focus on the 15 minutes, doing the tasks in that 15 minutes that are going to give you results and make the most difference.
That's perfect. That's perfect. I love it. She gave away the secret in the first 5 minutes. Rock on.
I can't possibly give you all my secrets. Lots of them.
Another piece of genius that I will share with you about Michelle is that she doesn't just have this wonderful system that she previously has only done with her high end clients, but she also, because she's taken all these authors to best selling status, she has told me marketing stuff that I would have never even imagined. So it's not just like fluffy woo woo, here's how to like be happy and market in 15 minutes a day. Michelle is also fully equipped to tell you exactly and so to get your book to number one on Amazon, you do these three things. And so it's really a beautiful hybrid of the thing that I hear people talk about all the time when they work with you is that they feel like their life has been totally transformed. And so they take that transformation and then they go make bucks, which is what
Right.
we all want, right? So I think
Right.
it's quite
That's what we
genius.
want.
So
Yeah.
let's start with the word marketing.
Ooh.
Yeah, talk to us about that.
That's how people say, sometimes I say marketing to people and their eyes glaze over or they shut down. They go, "Oh, that's nice." But that's because people don't know what marketing is. They think
Mm,
it's analyzing your web stats or maybe it's making having to do brochures. But marketing is however you can get your message out to your people that want to hear it. So marketing is not broadcasting to the masses. You've got to speak your message to the people that have open ears that want to hear what you have to say. And as soon as you realize that there's an audience out there for you waiting to hear what you have to say, that kind of takes some of the hard edge off of marketing.
mm.
So many people have.
I think it's interesting too because people come to this conversation and they feel like I should do
Mm-hmm.
89 things. Or
Right.
even,
Oh,
like I get on Facebook and I see all the ads and I'm like, here are 92 people who are selling nine new ways to do something technical that's going to make $1 million for me. And I don't have time to learn it. I mean, there's a real disconnect, I think, for people also because a lot of people really love what they do, care about what they do, and then like SEO analytics is like death to them. And so I
right.
think it's this thing of like, how do I marry what I really care about to this really weird procedure that I have to do that we call marketing?
Yeah, right. And something like SEO and analytics, I would call those more business tasks, maybe analytical tasks, but not necessarily marketing tasks because you're not getting your message out. And that's what
Mm,
marketing it is getting your message out. But I want to hit on something that you said because it's really important here. We do all the stuff we feel like we should do. So let's take blogging as an example, okay?
right.
So we're all told we have to blog. And blogging really works well for some people. There are some great bloggers who do it really well, who make a lot of money blogging, and the words flow freely from their fingers as they type, and you want to read their stuff and it feels good. And then we go to try it, those of us who are not inside that blogging archetype or that personality type, sit down to blog, and we blog and it doesn't work and it's not bringing us clients, and so we buy another e-course and we see what we're missing, and then we go put comments elsewhere, and then maybe we'll start a second blog because maybe it's our subject matter, and then we have to link the two blogs together, so we're in there doing all this technical stuff, right? But let me tell you what happens. It doesn't work and we start feeling bad inside about our marketing. And so then we're like, oh, this doesn't work. I feel like such a failure. Everybody else is making money. Why am I not making money? I hate marketing. Marketing sucks. And then we just shut down to the whole marketing thing. When in fact, all it is you're probably just doing the wrong task for you.
It's brilliant. It's so incredibly, it sounds so easy and so smart. I can't wait to get to more of the meat of this phone call because it's just like, wow, it could be that easy. And it could. I mean, it's fascinating to me to hear the work that you do with people because we all do. It's like, I mean, I'm just thinking like easing marketing and like, oh my gosh, like I've never even done any of those things. And still in my mind, somewhere there's this voice that says, oh, you must try it. But I think that the proof in the pudding also is like if all of us sit here and think about what are all the levels of marketing that I do that bring me no results. It's tremendous, isn't it?
I don't know if you know this. Yeah, I guess you know this because you and I have talked a few times in the past. We know
Yeah.
each other a little bit. I had an online radio show for like 2 years, interviewed all these people, some really big names. And one day I just quit. And it took everything I had to just quit because
Right.
this was a big marketing piece for me and I liked doing it. And I just quit. I never sent out an email saying I'm quitting. I didn't tell anybody I'm quitting. And here I am like 6 months later, and nobody said to me, "Hey, where's your radio show? We really miss it." Right? And so it's amazing how what we think the world is responding to,
Yes.
uh, suddenly when it's gone, nobody really notices.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of listeners. I had a lot
Yes.
of people following me. It was successful, but was I making a lot of money on it? No. Was I making a few good contacts? Sure, but could I make those same contacts maybe picking up the phone?
Right.
Probably more direct, straight to it, and more in alignment with who I am as a personality type. So that's just
Totally.
one example. But the thing about giving up pieces is I just was working with a high-end client that works one-on-one with me, and we set out some tasks for her to do. And just by giving up some of the tasks that she thought she should do, it suddenly opened the way for her to try some new things that she hadn't done before because now she had time, and it immediately brought in a couple of clients for her.
That's
It was
amazing.
cool.
That
Yeah.
was your VIP weekend that was recent, right?
There was a VIP weekend that
So
was
awesome.
recently. We spent a weekend and we just laid out 3 pages, things to change, things not to do, and things to do.
I love it. And I love too that you're practicing what you preach. I think it's so fun to apply to our own business, our own genius. So as you've found out more about your own archetype for marketing, you've been able to do things like let go of stuff that, was huge. So
That you
I
think
love
is
it.
working. Yeah, and
Yes.
we all have blind spots, right? We
Oh,
all have the
yeah.
things that we think are working or the things we know. But what's cool is when you have someone else help pull that out a little bit.
Totally. I agree. I agree. So If we say that you can market in 15 minutes a day, what is the way that you figure out specifically what your 15 minutes should entail? Because it's not a one size fits all. We're not all the same business. We don't have the same heart. We don't have the same desires. So, how do we figure that out?
Okay, so here's a few things. I'd like to really talk to you, and maybe if we have time, I can take you through part of the process here in a minute.
Totally.
But what I like to do is really go deep, find out
Mm,
what your purpose, your passions, your skills, your strengths are, and what it is you love to do and why you started doing what you're doing. But here's an analogy. Let's say I want to learn a language. And so I say, okay, I'm going to learn Spanish, right? Cool. So I don't go one day and study Spanish for 15 minutes and then the next day study French and the next day study Russian.
right.
I'm going to focus just on Spanish, right? So it's not trying all these different things to see what's going to work. You have to choose one and focus. But here's the other piece. You have to know where you're going. Because if
Mm,
I study Spanish for 6 months, I'm gonna make progress. I'm gonna get results. There's no it's a guaranteed that if I do that every day for 15 minutes, I'm going to get some kind of results. But then what if I go, oh, duh, I'm going to France? I've totally learned the wrong language, put all my energy down the wrong pipeline. So what I do is I make sure that we're choosing the right task for you that's in alignment, but also will get you results. So there is some strategicness underneath all this woo woo.
yeah, no, I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So we want to make sure it's aligned. And then if all you're doing is studying French for 15 minutes every day, you know you're going to get results because you're going to be committed to the process. You're going to love the process. It's going to be in alignment with what you want to do that makes marketing simple
Yeah.
and and energizing instead of draining.
Right, right. I love it. I read one of your testimonials lately, and what they said was that it wasn't just about effective marketing that they were doing in their 15 minutes. It was that they actually loved what they were doing. So they were doing tasks that like brought them great joy and felt really good to be out in the world doing. That's exciting.
It's very exciting. And there's a big difference between doing what you're good at and doing what the right thing is. And here's an analogy. I am really good at doing dishes. I am. I know how to do it. I've done dishes all my life. And for some people, they love doing dishes. It's very meditative. They get into the zone, right? I'm not one of those people, but but I know people who say, oh, I love doing dishes. It just gives me a chance to be connected and be quiet, right?
Right.
So I'm really good at doing dishes. I can give you a spotless piece of silverware any day. Does that mean I want to do that every day? Does that mean my heart and soul's in it? No. So just because you're good at something does not mean that's your gift, does not mean that's your strength, does
Mm,
not mean that's how you're supposed to move forward in your marketing task. So you may have learned how to blog and technically be very good at it,
right.
but you got to get underneath and see if that really is the way for you to move forward or not.
I love it. So let's move forward and let's talk about how to know exactly what you want to be doing every day in your marketing. And I'm going to put a plug in for you if I may. So Michelle is going to tell us everything that she can today, and it is amazing the pieces that she's going to share. And I would love to be a guinea pig and have you do some of this work with me because I've tasted it, and oh my gosh, every time it blows my mind. But you also are going to talk a little bit about the first time that people are going to get access to you that aren't your ongoing high end clients so that they can go through this process with you too. So if you're interested, we'll share a little bit more later about that because Michelle can't unfortunately analyze everyone today, but she can analyze me. So I'm really lucky.
Well, we'll start the process.
Right, right.
We'll do a little bit in 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect, perfect, perfect. So talk to us about knowing exactly what marketing can do that will really bring in clients and sales. Because we all start these marketing projects and we think, oh, I'm going to do this and, I'm going to do really well with it. And then all of a sudden, time's gone by. We've invested all this money, all this energy, and we haven't gotten results. So how can we know in advance if it's going to work?
Great question. I think one of the things to know is, do you feel energized enough with the task? So let's pretend it's Twitter, let's pretend it's blogging, let's pretend it's going out into your community and doing a networking event. If we assign that task, can you do that for 15 minutes every day as your marketing task? And do you go inside, yeah, I can do that, or, oh, no, that feels horrible? Because the truth is, all those things will generate money. We all know people who go and network at local lunches and
Sure.
networking events, and it brings in money. But then that may or may not work for you. We all know people who say they've made a ton of money on Twitter, but will that work for you? And so it's not will it work. Marketing works. It's whether it'll work for you. And I think the key
Wow.
thing is to really know whether it's something you can do for 15 minutes every day. Now, there has to be some strategy under that. So just because you go, yes, I can blog 15 minutes every day, then you've got to know a few tricks of the trade, how to make that really work.
Yes.
So it's just like coming out of high school and saying, I want to be a TV producer, and I know I can dedicate the whole rest of my life to that. Well, you still got to learn some tricks to know how to do that and how to get better.
Right.
But you've got to have that underlying feeling like, yes, this is a match for me. I can do this.
Right, right. And if you know your marketing archetype, it's even easier because it really allows you, I think, to see into the sort of part of yourself that you don't necessarily see.
Yes, that blind spot again. Can we talk about the word archetype for a minute?
Oh, definitely. Absolutely.
Because I think some people go like, oh, marketing, archetype, two big words, no, thank you. And archetype is just a word. So we can call it personality style. We can call it a way to market. We can call it using your passion to put your message out in the world. Archetype kind of gives it a nice framework. And so that's a word I've chosen to use. But if you're confused about the word, just stick in a different word for yourself, or any of the listeners and viewers here, because I don't want people to get hung up on semantics. So if the word marketing doesn't work for you, just call it connecting with people. If the word archetype doesn't work, just call it the best way to connect with the people.
Yeah.
And just use a different word.
So let's even give some examples of it, because I think then that will allow people to understand. So, for instance, you, I think, had posted this, or someone had posted it on Facebook, something about actors who are really visible in the world, but they actually are introverts. Like they'd much rather stay home and read a book. And so
Absolutely.
an introvert could be an archetype. You could think like an actor is an archetype, but what we're seeing here is a more sensitive level of that. So if somebody really doesn't like going out in public, if they'd rather stay at home all of the time, what kind of marketing stuff would you tell them to do on a daily basis?
Well, you can be an introvert and not want to go out and still have different marketing styles. So, for instance, there are plenty of introverts who are actors and singers. So just because you're an introvert does not mean that it's not your purpose or your archetype to be out in front of the public. So a great example would be Barbara Streisand. She's got a fabulous singing voice, terrific actor, and we've all heard the stories about how she's paralyzed with stage fright. And she's an introvert, and she likes to stay in, and she likes to, kind of close herself off from the world. But you have to balance that with this incredible talent and what she's here to do in the world, and she wants to sing. And so there's several things going on. Number one is she's going to connect probably one-on-one with directors, She's going to use her work to speak for itself. So if she wants to connect with somebody to produce her next album, my guess is she's going to send them an album. Doesn't mean she has to get in her car and drive over there and force herself to do a meeting.
Right.
So there are many ways to be both an introvert and an performer type archetype, or
That's
somebody who's in
fascinating.
the public eye. But then there's the other introvert who's not a performer, who might be an author. I've worked with author. In fact, I worked with an author just recently, and she hired me to help her really figure out how to get her ebook out. And she poured her heart and soul into this ebook. And she's very much an introvert. She writes all the time. She blogs, she writes, she has books. But her goal with me was to really make this ebook go big. And after working with her for just a little while, we realized that she had marketed this so much that she had just squeezed all the energy, all the juice out of this, out of herself, out of the book. There was nothing left to give.
Oh,
And so we agreed to just put it aside, because she had been forcing herself to go into an extrovert type of person to market the book. And as soon as she put it aside and just started writing again and doing some blog posts, and we made some strategic blog posts, she was offered a workshop to go teach writing, which is the other piece she really wants to do. And she got that through her writing on her blog. And so it worked out perfectly because it took her where she wanted to go. So you don't always see it right away, but forcing her to market the ebook wasn't really what she wanted to do, wasn't in her archetype, and she's better off just letting that go or hiring someone else just take it over completely, which my company may do. But
right.
the point is that you have different kinds of introvert archetypes.
That's so interesting.
Does that help?
Oh my gosh, it totally helps. And can I just say, it's fascinating to me, like just looking at human behavior, how often we set up ourselves to fail. Like we go, I'm an introvert. I really should be an extrovert. So I'm going to make myself do this task that I hate. And then it's
Right.
like, quite frankly, do we even ever do it? I mean, a lot of the stuff around marketing, when you talk to me, is it's not that I'm spending 8 hours doing stuff that I shouldn't be doing. It's that I'm sitting around thinking, oh, I should be doing all this stuff, and washing dishes instead. It's like, let's be honest,
Right.
So,
And yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And
right?
and it's not that it's not that we have to go do something that other people see. The thing is, other people, it may be working for other people. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not that the task is bad, it's just not a match.
Right on. It's like dating the wrong guy.
Yeah, there you go.
Just because your sister married him doesn't mean that you should.
Right.
Horrible, horrible analogy, but there we
But,
go.
but totally. So marketing an ebook is going to be really, really enthusiasm generating for a different kind of personality.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So, yeah, I think that makes things clear. So, do you want to do a little guinea pig work with me? Because I really am astounded when you talk to me about the work that you do with people. It's not that they just figure out, oh, here's how I can market, and then they go get results. I mean, people, because I send people to Michelle, and after or even during people's time with Michelle, I get like instant messages or emails where they're like, "Oh my gosh, my mind is blown. I have to let you know this about," and it's genius stuff that comes out of you. So perhaps we can do a little bit of that with
All right.
me, and I'll
Okay.
be
So
transparent and all that good stuff.
so take a breath, and I'm just going to ask some questions. We're just going to have a conversation.
Okay.
So I know that you went to acting school, got an acting degree, right? Tell me
Yes.
what it was about acting that really inspired you to go get an acting degree.
That's so interesting. When I was a this is so funny. I don't ever tell people this. So this is so true still, Michelle, already in this. It's like taking 2 seconds, and now I'm like, here's my heart on a platter. Okay, so my one of my very favorite things is on Saturday Night Live at the end of the episode when everyone's hugging everybody else. And so when I
Oh,
was young, and I'll watch all of Saturday Night Live or even fast forward to the part where, they're waving at their moms. Sometimes they'll have a sign. They're like hugging. I just love the realness of the human connection. So when I was young and I started summer stock theater, like I'd grown up in the Midwest where people didn't hug a lot and people weren't really emotional, at least the way that I saw things. And so when I went and started summer stock, there were all of these effervescent, really huge people who were hugging everyone and crying everywhere. And so that too happens in a play, and so I could fit it into that. But I really just loved that people were really connected.
so when you went to acting school, did you have visions of like being on stage or being in film,
Oh,
being on
stage.
commercials
Film
on
was
stage?
was not real. Real actors did drama on stage. Yeah, Meryl Streep. That was what I wanted to be. Even though
Nice.
she's not on stage really.
No,
So
well,
there we
yeah.
go.
And then, so that tells me a little bit, a couple of clues. So I'm listening for clues, and I'm just listening for things that you're saying and not saying. But
Yes,
what I notice is that there's always a thread in our lives. There's always a thread that ties it all together. So jobs that you had when you were 18 or 32 or whatever, or volunteer projects that you do, it all ties it into what this marketing archetype might be. So after you went out of acting school, you didn't immediately go act. I don't think you were in sales, right? Because you're teaching
totally.
sales now.
Yes, yep.
So why did you think you could go into sales?
Well, that I don't know that even that makes sense at all. It just was where I went to school at NYU, they really taught you about the craft, but they didn't teach you a lot about getting a job. Like even the first year when you're in acting school there, they won't allow you to perform outside of your classes. And so I just didn't have any idea what to do to make money when I finished school. And I was like, people shop. So I got a job as the manager of the Halloween boutique. It was
I
Boutique.
love that
And I got to
name.
dress up as a witch and like sell stuff at Macy's. So that's what I did.
And I can imagine you going like, ooh, and really getting in there with people. Is that true?
Yeah, I
And
would like spray my hair black, and yeah, totally. I was completely into it. Yeah.
yeah, because there's something again, it's the same. See, to me, it's the same energy. You're connecting with
Mm,
people. You are wanting to be intimate with people. You want to really get in there and be with people and be real with people, which is why this works for you,
yeah,
right? This
totally.
interview thing. It's so you're totally an archetype here. And so
Mm,
it's more than like networking or being a social butterfly. That's not what I'm talking about. There's a real core here of, I think, about being intimate and real with people. And so, um, the next step then is I start asking questions like, do you think of yourself as an extrovert? Would you like to be out there speaking to millions of people, and does that energize you? And introverts can be energized by that as well. Or do you prefer like one on one, and maybe you like both?
well, it's an interesting thing, and of course I brought the analogy of the actor up because there is oh, it's so fascinating. Can I just go on a tangent for 1 second?
Yeah, yeah.
It's not crazy, but it's that whole thing of what our pain is also what our purpose is in some ways. So I don't love being in massive, massive crowds. However, the idea of speaking to a massive, massive crowd, if I can touch one person, actually feels really good because it's this strange thing of like, yes, craving intimacy. And at the same time, there's a part of me that's a little bit shy and a little bit introverted. So there's some sort
Right.
of odd safety for me being in a room with a bazillion people, but seeing one person in the crowd crying and I'm really making a difference in their life.
So, if I may, and I know a little bit about you, so I'm going to kind of jump to the end a little bit here, but
Cool.
just interest of time. But it seems to me like you would do better being on stage with your knowledge, your being in the brilliance of who you are as a coach and a sales trainer and an interviewer and so forth, rather than going into a party of 200 people and being the life of the party, right?
Right. Been there, did that, didn't work.
And that's a different archetype. But we all know people who can walk into a party,
Right.
be charismatic. Everybody is like, whoa, the party just woke up, right?
Yeah, totally.
So you can be in front of the public in both of those ways, but they're definitely two different personality types. So I wouldn't send you into a massive networking group and say, here, go pass out cards, because you'd probably die,
Yes,
right?
totally.
That's not you. But for you to go get some strategic either partnerships where you're making intimate connections one on one, or some creating some ways for you to be in front of an audience where you're making connections one on one, but at a bigger scale. But see, you're up there in command in your brilliance of what you have to teach. So it's a little bit of a controlled environment as opposed to the charismatic person that just likes to shoot off and is the life of the party. And that's a whole different way,
It's
a
so
different marketing
It's
archetype.
so interesting because, I speak of Michelle highly because I've done this work with you before. And so we've talked a bit about connecting with people and how strategic partnerships would help me. And I've utilized that information and it has had profound results for me. Because if I spent 15 minutes a day just trying to do strategic partnerships, like, holy freaking smokes, what comes out of that? I am like just in awe of the universe for what the universe has provided lately based on that information. But it's also really interesting because you've taken it to this whole new level where it's like the idea of being in front of a lot of people, of course, is like, something that's this little secret dream that I keep inside of me. But also to realize that doing that is the most effective way for me to move to my goal. So instead of spending 15 minutes, you know, just trying to get Facebook to do something in the morning,
Right,
if I
right.
actually every day just tried to reach out to 3 new places where I could speak, like,
Hmm.
oh my gosh, because the powerful thing is that you take these actions and you're going to reap the rewards of what you do,
Right. Yeah,
especially if it's in
it's just like,
alignment.
yeah, it's just like the Spanish analogy. You're going to, if you do it consistently, you'll get rewards. But
Oh,
let me point something out, because somewhere in there you talked about being a little bit afraid,
yeah,
I
sure.
think, of
Yeah,
something, of
of
being in front
course.
of these audiences. Okay, so here's the thing. You're probably, if I say, Lindsay, you got to go network with this group of women, 200 people, you're going by yourself, here's your business card, you'd be a little afraid. If I said, go get on stage and talk to these 5,000 people, you'd be a little
Fun.
afraid. But you have to discern then
Mm,
if the fear is because it's not yours to do and it's out of alignment, or if the fear is kind of your shadow, the dark side, something that you know you have to step through.
right.
So, we're all scared about learning a new language and having to speak in a different accent because it makes us self conscious. But if we want to learn the language, we have to step into that. I'm going back to that analogy.
It's really good.
So you just have to discern, and that's where someone like me comes in, because I can see that clearly when people can't see it for themselves. Is it a fear that's holding you back, or is it a fear that's really just information for you?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, this isn't going to work for you.
Right, right.
Don't
I love
bother.
it. It's so smart. I always used to say that I would feel really nauseous when I'd get ready to do anything that was really important that I do. And so it was this barometer of if I felt like throwing up, it was time to walk towards it.
Absolutely.
I love it.
And absolutely. Because, it's when we're um, really don't care one way or the other. That's when it's not important to our soul.
So do you all get how profound it is that we can talk about something that's important to our soul, that brings us the results that we want, and you can get both of those from one thing? Like, that is like magic what you offer, Michelle.
So, thank you.
It
Thank you.
is. It's so
And
cool.
so for you, just to continue, um, I would go a step further with you. We're talking about you making strategic partnerships with people.
Hmm.
I would be careful not to get too wrapped up. Then suddenly you're like, oh, I've been offered a JV launch. I'm going to go partner with somebody and we're going to do this big launch and we're going to sell each other's stuff. That may or may not be exactly it, because then what happens is you're off sort of on a side tangent. And if you don't have somebody who loves doing those details, you're going to spend days and days now in the details of the emails and the websites and the landing pages and all those kinds of things. And that'll take you days rather than 15 minutes of saying, I need to just connect with the next person. So
Right.
when opportunities come
So
up
smart.
that seem like they're in alignment, then you have to choose, am I going to do this and hire someone to do it? Am I going to do it and learn those skills and put a time frame around it? Or am I just going to let it go? And some of that depends on your business goals and where you're going. But what I see happen is it would be easy to go down that tangent, and we want to keep getting you back into, especially when you're starting this new muscle, learning how
Yeah.
this new muscle is, right? Of
Yes.
staying in the essence of who you are and not getting too far on either side quite yet until you've really mastered that piece.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. So I want to tell people where they can find out more about this, because if it were me,
Yeah.
I'd be like, I want what Lindsay just got. So if they go to your website, which is Michelle, Michelle, two L's, Vandepas, Vandepas.com/15, FIFTEEN, the number spelled out. So it's Michelle Vandepas, VANDEPAS.com/FIFTEEN, right?
Right. 15 for 15 minutes a
I love
day.
it. I love
That's
it. I
right.
love it. So
Yeah.
they're able to spend time with you and really start by digging down and figuring out what it is that they can do that's most effective for them in terms of marketing that also will be pleasurable, right?
Right, right. So in the first call, we I ask questions and I go a little deeper than I went with you.
Yes,
And
you do.
obviously, you and I talked before, so I had some a little bit of insight already. But I go deeper. It takes about 40, 45 minutes,
Yeah.
and I get the together, because I don't want to say I'm just telling you, but we come to the end of this process with 2 or 3 or 4 tasks that you can do in 15 minutes a day consistently. They're going to make the most difference. But here's the cool thing. We come up with a sheet of things that you've been doing that I say just put aside. Just don't do them. And some people freak out and I'll say, well, just don't do them for the next month. And let's see how that works for you. And then if it's working pretty well, then just go another month. So, I'm not taking away anybody's chocolate for the rest of their life, right? They're really emotionally invested in doing something against archetype like Twitter or blogging or a meetup group or whatever it might be. But we're going to just say, let's not do it for the next 30 days. So you'll have the sheet of things that you can just give up on. And most people just breathe a sigh of relief, like,
I
oh,
bet. I bet.
yeah.
Yeah.
Then just to finish this, it does come with a couple of follow-up sessions. And I don't really like to say I'm going to hold you accountable, because then people go, oh, you're going to know if I cheated and ate that chocolate. What I'm going to do is just help you implement. And we'll go through any stumbling blocks or anything that's come up that's stopping you from implementing, or any tangents. So there's a couple of follow-up calls and then some email support in case something comes up in between that you need help with.
It's brilliant. I love it because in my own experience of doing this with you, after I'd had a taste of it the first time, it really just like opened my eyes in such a big way that it was hard to believe. This sounds crazy because all the time I'm talking transformation to people, but it was hard for me to believe that if I just did that, that things would work out all right. And so then it's easier to sort of go back to my perspective of who I think I am. And so to have the follow up with you is genius because it really sort of nails in there and gives the structure so that you can keep moving forward with things. It's
Right.
like support. It's not just, not or whatever word we want to use for accountability.
Right.
It's some
Well, and we know how the
support.
universe works. We know this, Lindsay. So as soon as you and I agree that you're not going to blog for 30 days, you're going to get 27 emails tomorrow about the hot new blogging course. It's going to guarantee that you're going to make $100,000 next week alone, right?
Absolutely.
So um, you have to push back a little bit. You have to hold your ground. I like to call it the universe is testing you to see if you believe what you're saying. And then you'll get into the new groove. And what will happen is then you'll start attracting things that resonate with where you are. So
Yeah.
after you've done that, and it can happen really quickly within a day, it can take a week, it could take a couple of weeks, but pretty quickly you'll start getting new things coming toward you that resonate with the new way of marketing because there, I know this is going to sound woo woo, Lindsay, but there's an energy resonance. There's something about when you're passionate about what you do and you do it with fun, your your audience responds. So if you're blogging and you don't like to blog, but you've been told you have to blog, not only are you telling yourself I'm a failure, this isn't working, but I have to do it, there's an energy that goes out that the other people feel. And they go, I don't want to read that blog. I don't know why, but I don't want to read that blog. And they just move on.
Right.
So as soon as you start doing something else, maybe it's Twitter, maybe it's Facebook, maybe it's getting out in your community, maybe it's getting on the phone, maybe it's doing a radio show, whatever it is, and you're doing it with excitement and passion, and it's in alignment with who you are, and you know in your own heart and soul that it's going to bring you results, so you're even more passionate about it. The people at the other end of that, they can feel that. Even if they've never met you, even if they've never heard your voice, there's just a resonance about it that feels right.
I love it. And I also love, I think that the bane of existence for a lot of entrepreneurs is when it gets to implementation or when it gets to technical pieces. So what's really cool is like not only are you telling people like here's the thing you should be doing and here's, the list. It's like a direct map for like exactly what should be cooking. But then they're also able to say to you, okay, so I'm willing to do it and I don't understand how to set up a JV or I don't
Right.
understand how to blog or I don't understand Twitter. And so you've taught marketing forever. And so you're able to give them not just like, here's how to tweet, but like, here are strategic ways to tweet so that they can take what they've learned that's, sort of ethereal and transformative and woo woo and life changing and apply it down to like, and this is exactly how you do it today.
Right. So that there's actual results. So you'll get the task, and then we'll create a paragraph that are in your words so you know exactly how to follow. And then there will be some things like for you, if you suddenly did get a JV opportunity that was in alignment, you could just pass that off to my company and we'd handle it all
So
for you.
smart. So smart. Or you could even just start by saying, okay, so here's the software that you'll want to do to be able
Right.
to exactly. It's
Yeah. So I
brilliant.
can either teach you
Yeah.
or our
Yeah.
team do it. So we've
Brilliant.
got, both sides of that.
So smart, Michelle. I love it. I love it. So it's again Michelle Vandepas. You can tell I've got a 1 year old. MICHELLEVANDEPAS.com/15. And there are a limited number of spots available. It's just so cool that you're opening this up for people because I know it's not been something that you've done before. But I also, the people you're doing it with are so in love with you. So it's just genius.
Well, here's the thing, Lindsay. Mom to mom.
Yes.
Um, I've been doing this a long time, but I've got a young daughter at home, and so I cut back, and I was just doing it for specific clients. And now my daughter is like going on, she's 9, going on like 18. I have my own life now. I have play dates. I have things to do, Mom. I have after school activities. And I'm like, okay, I'm going back to work full time.
There you go.
So I've been doing this for years, but I've been doing it on a limited basis, and I'm opening it up for a few more private clients or a few more sessions. And I love the opportunity to come here and talk to you about it. It's so
So
much.
cool. That's so cool. Yay. Okay. So now we're going to talk about the thing that just is so relieving. We're going to talk about all the stuff you can stop doing in marketing now. So, how do we know, like with the million other hours that we're thinking at least about marketing, what we can stop thinking about and take off our list of what we need to buy and take off the list of all the shoulds? And so, how do we figure that out for ourselves?
Well, the big thing is if it doesn't feel good, and I think we may have touched on that at the beginning of this interview. If it really just doesn't feel good, you have to discern whether that's fear holding you back or it's really not yours to do. So if you're going into a group of 200 women and you're trying to do that every month, and every month you're like, ugh, it's probably not yours to do. But if you're like, I know there's something here, if I'm honest to myself, I know there's something here, and I just have to break through my shell
Yeah.
and learn a few maybe icebreakers and conversation starters to get me out of my shell, and learn the protocol of when to shake hands or when to hug. There's just some things that, the business world's really confusing, and it may just be you need some specific tips. This is when you shake hands. This is when you hug, right? And so, but if it doesn't feel good and you're pretty sure it's not your fear holding you back, just quit. But here's the other piece: if it hasn't been working, quit doing it. So if
Yes.
you've been blogging, or you've been tweeting, or you've been writing articles and putting them out online, or you've been holding a meetup group and 20 people come to your meetup group, but you leave at the end of the night with a $20 donation, quit doing it. Just
Absolutely.
quit. Stop.
It's almost worth just writing a list and being like, here are all the things I do that have never brought me results. Like, oh, just stop it now, right?
Right. And again, it's going back to your great dating analogy. It doesn't mean it won't work for other people. It
Right.
just means it's not working for you. So make the list of all the marketing activities that you do.
Right.
So just keep it next to your computer and write down, oh, I made 3 phone calls. I spent an hour on Facebook. Then I had lunch. Oops, I spent 20 more minutes on Facebook. And then I went to Twitter, and then I tried to blog. Then I made a phone call, and then just kind of notice after a week which of those have brought you some inquiries or some sales.
Yeah.
You spend a lot of time tweaking your website. Is it working? Maybe your clients aren't online buying from websites.
Right.
Maybe they are, maybe they're not, but you got to figure out what already is not working, and just don't do any more of that.
So,
Stop.
totally. If you give us an example of an archetype and
Yeah.
something they shouldn't do, can you even, because I get the feeling good and I get the wasting time, but the layer of just, icing that you provide is also, if you understand what you're really meant to be doing, then it's so much easier to let go of those things.
Right. So I've got a couple examples. So one is what I call the star archetype. And that's somebody who really can go into that room of 200 people and network and pass out business cards and connect with people. And they can go on stage or do the roast, impromptu more kinds of speaking. Or someone says, hey there, Bill, come up on stage with me. And Bill's the first one up, grabs the microphone and does the impromptu speaking, or goes into the party and is the life of the party. Those people have very often a real need, not from a neediness place, but a real internal need to connect with people and to make other people feel alive. That's their gift, right? But then if they're like, on Facebook connecting with one person after another, it falls kind of flat because you get that there's this energy about them. And then they're just sort of connecting, answering comments on Facebook. And it doesn't have that energy that it might have if they maybe did a video or just got out and networked in their community.
Yeah, totally.
I like Facebook, and they may be on Facebook and it may help their business, but it may just be the wrong place to put that amount of energy.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
And if they just get out there in the community, they'll probably sell more books, book a speaking engagement, get a client, set up a consultation with a business, whatever it is that they do. I tend to work a lot with home-based entrepreneurs, coaches, speakers, authors, website developers, those kinds of people. And so very often they're kind of alone in their world at home trying to figure out what to do. And so by default, you end up on Twitter or Facebook.
Right.
And you kind of forget that there's other options out there.
Totally. I love it.
And another example is people often kind of roll to the sideways archetype because it's comfortable. So an example might be, here's someone that I just recently worked with, and she was talking about teaching a lot. And I kept getting that, yeah, she's a good teacher, but it's kind of like her fallback. Yeah, she's a good teacher, but really what she's doing is leading the way, showing the way. And so she needs to open it up to other possibilities to show the way. And teaching is one of the tools that she can use to help show the way. But if all she thinks about is teaching, she's limiting her audience and limiting herself. And she knew it wasn't quite right,
Wow.
but that was her fallback position. So sometimes what you think is your gift or your style is really a skill.
Oh, right. It's so interesting being an entrepreneur because the choices are limitless. And it's like, oh my goodness, that's a beautiful Facebook post. Do you want to be in your gift or your skill? Do you want to offer the world your gift or your skill? Like you need to, yeah, baby. That is a good one. That's straight out of your mouth. That's gorgeous.
Thank you.
It's gorgeous. Because when you're in your gift, this is what I love about you, Michelle. I'm going to scream it from the rooftop, is that it's not just woo-woo. It's about getting people into their gift and making them sales.
Right.
Brilliant.
I'm a business coach first and a marketing coach. I've been doing this a long time. So this isn't about going and living your purpose and being happy, meditating at home and if that's what you want to do, that's great. But my purpose is to bring this into business and marketing. So It's all about the results, making money, and money is not an evil word because, money's what pays for our kids to have clothes and food.
Totally.
And most entrepreneurs can relate to that. So if there's money blocks, that's a whole nother subject, Lindsay.
Yes,
invite back. Talk about.
I love it. So I want to make sure that people have the link in case they didn't get it before. I'm going to let you spell it this time.
Okay. My name is Michelle Vandepas, and there's no R in there. It's Michelle, so 2 L's for Michelle. And then Vandepas, VANDEPAS.com/15. Only 15 minutes a day.
FIFTEEN. Awesome. So I'll give you the last word. Anything you want us to know? Anything you want to share with us? Any other thoughts that we haven't covered?
I guess what I'd like to leave people with is that marketing can be light and breezy and simple. It doesn't have to be this heavy energy that people think it is, and that you don't have to do a million things. Very often people think, oh, I have to do all of it or I'm going to do none of it. I'm so overwhelmed with this, I'm just going to slam the door and pretend, la, 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 I don't have to do it. You do have to do some if you want to be a successful business. You have to get your word out, but that's all it is. And so let's find the way for you to get the word out that's in resonance and alignment with who you are and your clients, and make it simple and light and easy for you.
And let it be measurable in the results that come in. Like at the end of your day, let you count how many clients you got from simple, breezy, and easy.
Yeah. Oh, I like
Right?
that.
Yeah, I love it.
Absolutely.
I love it. You can hear my life downstairs. I think my husband and my baby are. No, you haven't heard them?
I hear that it's fabulous. That's, why we do what we do,
Oh
so we
my
can live our
goodness.
life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. It has been, I could like go on with you forever. I can't believe that it's been an hour. It's been such a joy to talk to you. It's just like, it's groundbreaking. It's so simple and it's so clean. And, it's so funny too, because it's like when you first talked about it, like I'm a smart woman. I thought, oh, I should be able to figure out what my archetype is. But you really are able to see into places. We all need each other. We all need people to see things we can't see. And you definitely have seen things for me that have given me permission to move forward in my business, which is like, holy smokes, I'm going to go get a bazillion people and speak to one and be on a big old stage. You just watch me now.
Yeah. You go, girl.
I love it. So, sometime we're going to talk about what your marketing archetype is, but I have a feeling if we open that up, we'll be here much longer than an hour. I'm fascinated though.
Next time.
Cool.
We have a list of topics for next time.
Yes, we do. Money is not evil. Michelle's marketing archetype. I
Right.
love it. Very cool. So, thank you everyone so much for tuning in. I hope you've checked your inboxes for the surprises that have come in. Join us tomorrow night. It is going to be a blast. And get in touch with Michelle. You can find other things at her website, michellevandepas.com. You can connect with her on social media. And I wholeheartedly endorse her. I would check her out if I were you, but that's me. So
Thank you,
you're
Lindsay.
welcome. Have a great night, everyone.
Bye.